Yo, what's up, guys? How are y'all doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. And if you're not, I hope this video will help you in that endeavor. Today is going to be a video on just addressing the different ways people like to downplay Bleach by saying, oh, this and this isn't light speed. Oh, this and this means they're not this is being debunked, whatever it may be. So today I'm just going to be generally debunking a lot of this stuff real quick and saying just how truly absurd it all is. First one I'll be addressing is Nero and him dodging light. We literally see Nero dodge light. By the attributes of Nero, he does burn when he is under light. People try to debunk this and then dismiss it by saying, oh, in the anime right here, he's actually hit by light. However, even in the anime's continuity, it does not work because when we further examine it with this scene right here, this happens. However, in comparison to this scene right here, that does not happen. So even within the anime continuity itself, this is not consistent. But there's no such inconsistency with Arniero right here, where we literally see Arniero being in darkness right here with the panel. So like this debunk is rather odd because literally it does not make sense literally with the scene that comes directly afterwards. So if anything, it's an animation error, literally not being able to animate it correctly. Literally, like, don't know what to tell you. So this one doesn't really work as a debunk. Yes, Arniero did dodge light. Yes, that was its intention. So, like, that's pretty quick. I just find this to be odd, like, being used when it is not even consistent within itself. So, yeah. The next one would be Negation, which people are like, oh, it has weird properties that don't befit light, but ignore the context around it, which literally the light puts you into a different dimension, and the sky literally cracks by its appearance and like as it shoots out. So I'm like, I just find this to be a very odd nitpick, being like it has weird properties when it already, as a baseline, is sending you to another dimension. Like you are currently, once you are inside of this light, this is a different dimension. Like that also just peers through the sky, breaks the sky. These black pieces right here literally are parts of the sky. So I just find it very weird to specify, oh, you know, they're going up, but it was shot down, even though this is now a different dimension. Like, odd, I would say. Like, very odd nitpick. But yeah, the negation is directly said to be like, that is his intention. And just in general, just it going up and that being a problem doesn't really like hold up to scrutiny because the entire scene literally doesn't work if that is the type of logic you're putting up. Since obviously the sky doesn't crack and light doesn't put you into a different dimension. So like just putting it like that, it makes the entire argument silly, like in general, and just like it comes off as like an appeal to reality, saying like, oh, it's not light because it does something weird. Like it borderlines on an appeal to reality at that point, when literally the entire thing surrounding it doesn't work for such an argument to exist. Like it's like completely forgetting this is the realm of fiction where you're literally in a different dimension with this. Like I don't know. Like just the arguments for negation is just odd to bring up. It just feels odd when just like put in the context of the actual feed and what's going on. As we literally see these monsters with the literal sky cracked open as these beams of light crack the sky and then transport you to another dimension. Like once you start saying that all out loud and you're saying, oh, they're moving upwards, therefore it's not light, Like it just feels like what are you talking about? Like it just comes to that point. The next point is how people are like, oh, Tokinada, Lightning Strike, and Suiphone saying, oh, this is impressive and whatnot. So this firstly works against people, firstly, since this directly does confirm that elemental attacks do have the properties of speed. Suiphone literally says he was either moving fast enough to react to lightning or he was predicting his enemy's behavior, which directly would mean, okay, elemental attacks have the same property of speed when put in like in attack. So light-based attacks such as the Sero, such as the Quincy arrow, are just fine. There would be a light speed. And the reason Soyphone is saying this for anybody that isn't reading Can't Fear Your Own World, the reason she's saying this is because this just directly proves Tokinada isn't some random fodder. He's blatantly holding back as they already know he was a threat. And they're like, okay, yeah, this just directly shows it right here. Really, right here. His abilities in battle are not to be disregarded, yeah. He's not somebody that's pushing over. Literally by the fact that even while he's messing around and concealing himself, he is literally casually doing these things, which directly shows, okay, we need to be wary of him. He's not just some random guy. Like just some random royal. Like, okay, he doesn't have any combat abilities. That's what you would normally say. And then he just randomly like blocks lightning, and they're like, okay, never mind. He's actually a big deal. Like he can actually do things. If we're not careful, we're gonna get off guarded or something. That's literally the purpose of this scene, and literally works against people that try to use this to debunk things, because this directly does prove, oh yes, elemental attacks have the same property of speed. So this actually just works against people. The next thing is just like in general for like just attacks based on elements and whatnot. Reiatsu, spiritual pressure, whatever. All of spiritual energy in general is supernatural. It does supernatural things, literally. If y'all see here, thanks to this is a flame, this is condensed reishi flame, and it is burning the sand of Hueco Mundo. If y'all didn't know, sand physically cannot burn. That is just something that is physically impossible. Sand does not burn. That's not what it does. If y'all know, like, oh, lightning strikes sand, you get glass. And lightning can hit up to, like, oh, like the surface of the sun type heat, or beyond it, if I remember correctly. But it just turns it to glass. Sand just doesn't burn. It's not something that is physically possible, but they're still able to do it with just spiritual energy. They're able to do supernatural things with spiritual energy, which, if y'all did not forget, Keto is literal spells, literal magic. This, which is why it has incantations, which is also why, oh, you have the demon way. It's called demon way, which is also why they have horns. The people that do practice keto, like actual just magic abilities that do things that are physically impossible. So this isn't even the only time as well. Another time, it's literally burning the air as well. Air cannot physically burn, but it's still being performed here. Reiatsu is a supernatural like entity. So it just comes off a lot of the times when people are like, "Oh, it can't do this, it can't do this. It does this, therefore like it can't be this." And then disregard the fact that it's like it can burn sand, it can burn air. Like it just feels like it comes off to a point that you're nitpicking and not looking at the full picture and the full intended purpose. So yeah, it can do supernatural things, so it should not be outside the realm of possibility that, oh, okay, these different things such as light speed can be achieved with regular attacks and have different attributes. They're also turned to smoke as well. Like it's burning and it's also smoking. So yeah, like also not possible. But yeah, that's just something like I was mentioning, as well as the fact that everything does have souls and all of them have energy as well. All of them have souls. Everything in the Bleach verse has souls. So not only is the spiritual energy something that is just doing supernatural stuff, we have souls, as you see right here, allows to draw the souls that reside in materials and put them to use. And like, haven't you noticed, as you like perform and use something, it demonstrates greater power right here. Our boy Genjo talking about it right here. Easy peasy. So the reason I bring that up is because of this right here. This is the reason why I bring this up. So this would mean, since everything does have a soul, even in the human world, which is directly our world, when any of the forces collide, the weaker of the two absorb the impact. So be it like once it starts getting to higher degrees, or maybe it's just like it has lower degrees, you start doing supernatural things. Since you know, if two forces do collide, one doesn't just absorb the other's impact. There's a multi-step just like process called the law of conservation of energy, the law of conservation of mass. But this right here is literally saying that okay, two forces that will now collide, one impacts, right? The impact is absorbed. One takes the impact. One's impact is taken, which can literally apply to anything because everything has a soul. And so, if we just go with the idea, okay, so this only really applies once you start getting to higher levels, then you start to think, okay, then what happens once you start getting to even higher levels than these normal captains? And you start getting isnt, and him literally coming near somebody and their existence being erased. Their existence just entirely being erased just by their spiritual pressures interacting. All right? So it starts to feel outlandish, right? When we're talking about such like energy sources and interacting in these type of manners, literally to the point that Aizen is able to interact with the cleaner, which is literally a being of reason, not even a being that we can actually study. So spiritual pressure can literally, and spiritual energy can literally affect reason itself. It starts getting to the point that you're like, these weird just anomalies can literally be explained by the fact that this is a supernatural energy source in a supernatural universe controlled by supernatural beings that are intended to be used to fight each other. So it just feels silly. And here, right here, as you can see, right, if y'all remember Ichigo getting his Shusekai, the sea dried up by the heat and spiritual pressure. Literally, spiritual pressure can literally burn and freeze. Literally just by not even having specific property. Literally just spiritual pressure just can't do it. Not only that, it's not tangible. It's not solid. Spiritual energy isn't a solid thing, as said right here. Shunsui literally says, I solidified the spiritual pressure itself and left it there. It literally is not even a physical thing. Obviously, I'm talking about physically as in like a spiritual thing. It's not solid. You can't touch spiritual energy. It's some sort of sixth sense. So, the reason I keep on bringing this up, the reason I keep on reiterating this, is just to put in the minds of some people that try to I guess, be pseudo intellectuals or try to use some weird overbearing burden of proof to try and debunk these things while not looking at what it literally does. Literally freezing things, literally burning things, literally doing supernatural things while both being spiritual pressure. They're the exact same thing, but they have different properties. Some burn, some freeze, some can burn sand, some can burn air, some can interact with reason. We literally have implying different types. When Chad says, when I got here, my power got all excited, like it was coming home. Literally coming off to be as different types as well. It just comes off as outlandish when people just try to present this idea that it is impossible or it is a contradiction within the story for this to be possible when we're seeing all of this. Another thing people always try to use is Gin. So let me address this real quick. Real quick, real quick. So here's the translation. Here's the translation in French, but I'll also bring up the translation in Japanese as well for those that don't like French for some reason. French prejudice, sad hours. It compares the contraction speed of kamishimi yarn to the speed of a clap of hands. It aims it aims it's supposed I translated this, my bad, my apology. This is supposed to be it aims at Ichigo with a speed exceeding that of sound of its point, which I awaken the stupidly flexibility. I did that off the cuff. That was just for this man right here arc. I just did that off the cuff real quick. So my bad for the grammar. But so what it's basically saying is it compares it to the speed of the clap of hands, but the speed that it's at exceeds that of sound. So the idea that, okay, Gin is 500 times the speed of light doesn't work because the speed it's comparing it to exceeds that, and then Gin then says, oh, it's 500 times that. So the speed being referenced is not sound. I'll just use the Japanese because this should be a little bit better. He likened the speed of at which the Kami Slayer mirror expanded and contracted to the speed at which he could strike his own hands. The spearhead, which revealed an amazing expansion and contraction rate, aimed at Ichigo with a speed surpassed the speed of sound. In other words, at the speed at which he claps his own hands, a speed that surpassed the speed of sound, directly means that the speed that's being referenced and sound are not the same. They are not the same. No matter what argument you say, the guide right here tells you these speeds are not the same. It would be weird in the first place because Kubo has never, ever put a speed down because that's not how he does storytelling. That's just not how he does storytelling. Okay? So, again, very bad. Literally not what it is. But those are a few things. There's also Candice, which I would like to pull up, but I don't know where the scans are, and that would be a while, and I just want to get this video out here. But I'll just describe it real quick. It's Candice literally going to Genjo and Tsukishima. People that have read Can't Fear Your Own World should know what problem has here, what problem is to be had here. Mumbling, waffling. But the problem is basically that Genjo and Tsukishima and Giriko are off the grid. They're trying to suppress themselves so they are not detected by anything. They're trying to not be detected at all. They're trying to be off the grid. That's what they're trying to do. So they're currently suppressing themselves. Candice then walks up, is like, yes, I'm about to freaking get ya. So she throws an attack, right? Both Genjo and Tsukishima start mocking her directly for it not being the speed of light. This lightning attack, right, is being directly compared to light, and they are now mocking this Quincy arrow of lightning for not being the speed of light. The implication here is that okay, this should be the speed of light, and that's why they are then provoking her. So Candice gets mad, she spurgs out, and then drops a lightning bolt on them, which exceeds the speed of light. Okay, not not the speed of light, the speed of lightning. Exceeding the speed of lightning literally can also exceed the speed of light. So it is no actual cap. It just tells us, oh, this is faster than lightning, which okay, that's cool and all, but that doesn't particularly give us anything besides before when she's trying to off guard them and then literally take them in so she can just get away from Mayuri, do the mission, be good, see her friends. Oh, dang. Now they think I'm weak. Boom! Real fast, strong attack. Literally, the purpose has been served. Her tactic didn't work actually because Tsukishima just made a tree, sliced the tree and just blocked it. But that literally was her tactic. That being said, I think I've addressed this fairly thoroughly enough. It is very weird for these odd arguments to pop up saying things aren't the speed of light in the context of such a series. The author's intent when doing this is for them to be light. The basic property you think of when you think of light is the fact that it is fast. So when something is just said to be that, we are to say, okay, what we can all basically know of, agree of, is that it's at light speed. That's the property that is usually attributed to it. That is what is usually okay. That's what we all know. That's why it's impressive. Okay, light. But with that being said, I do think this is like, fuck me. I do think that this has been thorough enough, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.